Hey there, welcome to the channel. In today's video, I just wanted to show you guys how to put tension on a garage door spring. I've got a single car garage here with just a single spring on it. The process will be very similar on a two car garage with a single or a double spring. So you will need a few things to do this. You need a pair of vice grips, a pair of winding bars, and a 7/16 socket wrench, or just a regular wrench will do as well. I'll put a link down in the description below. And right now I've got no tension on my spring, as you can tell. So the first thing you want to do is start on the left-hand side of your garage door. Typically that's marked by red paint on the drum, like I have here. And what you want to do is, once that's loose, you take your cable and you want to fix it back to the drum here. There's a little slot right in here. I'm not sure if you guys can see that very well, but there's a slot inside the drum where if you put that cable into it, it kind of holds on, and you just wind it up. That's where you got it hand tight right about there. So it's in my grooving. My cable's tight. You want to make sure, check your cable all the way down to that bottom, just to make sure that it is behind those wheels and not caught up on any kind of obstruction or on the outside of your brackets there. But once you have this taut, you can tighten this drum back up. So this is where you're going to use your vice grips. So what these vice grips are going to do is just hold this cable in place until we get our spring tension on it. So what you want to do, just put it up against your ceiling or whatever you've got, your sheetrock, your header, and just clamp it so that this cable stays taut and that drum doesn't move anywhere. So this is what I meant by you want your cable to be behind all the wheels. So just all the way up. It's not caught around that bracket or your sensor, behind all the wheels, all the way up to the top. So that's just one thing I've noticed. Sometimes it gets stuck behind something or on something there. Same thing on this side. Just take your cable, feed it into the little slot here, and we're just gonna do the same thing. We're gonna wind it into its groove. Something like that. Once you have that cable tight in its groove, just tighten down this drum. Cables are both nice and tight now, and my vice grips are holding them in place. So at this point, we are ready to tighten the spring. At this point, you want to stand either to the left or to the right of the spring. You don't want to be directly underneath these bars as you're doing this, but so I'm on my left side because I like to be where there is no spring at all. Take your winding bars and you put them into the little slot here. So I've got a 7-foot tall garage door. So I'm gonna go 30 quarter turns. So rule of thumb on this is for every foot of door you go 4 quarter turns. So if you got an 8-foot tall door, you want to do something like 32 quarter turns. Most people got 7-foot tall garage doors, so 7 times 4 is about 28. You like to give it an extra 1 or 2 just to get it up past that 7-foot mark on the height. To start, it's going to be relatively light. So you put your bar into that slot, you lift it up, put your second winding bar in, remove your top one. So until there's some tension, you can't really just let it rest up against the door like you'll see here in a second. So up until then, we'll kind of just use our hand to hold that second bar, but we'll go up. There's 2, you want to keep a count as you're going, of course. There's 3, so again, 4. So now at 4 quarter turns, I've got a little bit of tension. So at this point, I can actually let the winding bar rest up against the door. And we'll go 5, put the bar in, let it come down against the door, and let go. We're at 6 here, up, winding bar in, let it rest against the door, 7, winding bar in. You can even remove that top one, bring it down, let it rest against the door. So now I'm at 30 quarter turns. I'm gonna go ahead and grab my bar, pick it up just a little bit, and we wanna stretch this spring just a tiny bit because it will sometimes make noise as it goes up and down because they're binding up against each other. So what I like to do is grab the bar here and tilt it inward, whichever way that is for you. Tilt that spring inward, and we're just gonna tap this so we can stretch that spring a little bit. So we stretched it just enough. So I'm still holding on to this here, and we're gonna go ahead and tighten that down. Again, so I just felt the tension, so we're gonna go 1 and 2. I think about 2 should be good there as far as tightening that up goes. So, tension. So there's 1, 2. That one felt a little light, I'll go a little more. So at this point, your spring should be nice and taut. Okay, it's our little bolts are tightened down. At this point, just lift up a tiny bit, enough for you to get this bar out. And release this slowly. At which point, it should be all tightened back up for you. You remove your vice grips at this point. At this point, you may want to test if that spring is correctly tensioned. The way you do that is by opening this up halfway. If it stays at halfway, you should be good to go. So what we'll do here, this is my halfway point right here. Let go. My garage door is staying at this point. If it's flying open at this point, it just means you got too much tension. If it's dropping down at this point, you don't have enough tension. Or if it's really bad with either of those, then you may have got the incorrect spring. So that is how to tighten that garage door spring. Hopefully it was helpful to you. Thanks for watching and have an awesome day.